The massive screens in Earth's Defense Command Center flickered with countless warnings as the unknown objects emerged from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. Admiral Stone stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face illuminated by the red emergency lights that bathed the underground facility in an eerie glow. Multiple objects detected, sir. Size estimates are, well, they're bigger than anything we've ever seen, reported Lieutenant Adams, her fingers flying over the holographic controls. The readings were clear. Each of the alien vessels was larger than Earth's biggest cities. The room fell silent as the first transmission came through. The image that appeared on the main screen showed a being that looked almost human, save for the metallic sheen of its skin and eyes that gleamed like polished amber. It wore what appeared to be ceremonial armor, decorated with symbols of authority that needed no translation. People of Earth, the being spoke in perfect English, its voice carrying an artificial smoothness that made it clear they had studied human languages thoroughly. I am High Ambassador Reed of the Galactic Empire. We have watched your civilization's progress with great interest. Stone's jaw tightened. They had been watching. For how long? The ambassador continued. Your species has shown remarkable potential. As such, we extend an offer of protection and membership within our empire. The terms are most generous. We require only 40% of your world's resources and acceptance of imperial oversight. In return, you will receive access to technologies beyond your current understanding and protection from the many dangers that lurk in the darkness between stars. The military leaders gathered in the room exchanged glances. 40% of Earth's resources. The terms were clearly non-negotiable, delivered with the practiced ease of someone used to automatic acceptance. We have brought a small portion of our fleet to demonstrate the benefits of accepting our offer, the ambassador added as the sensors showed more ships appearing. Small portion. There were already 30 vessels, each capable of casting shadows on entire continents. General Harris, leader of Earth's Space Force, leaned toward Stone. They're positioning themselves in a standard orbital containment pattern. They've done this before. Stone nodded slowly. The Empire's technique was clear. Shock and awe, followed by what they considered a generous offer. It was textbook gunboat diplomacy on a galactic scale. Your civilization has 24 Earth hours to accept our terms, the ambassador concluded. We look forward to welcoming you into the Empire's embrace. As the transmission ended, Stone turned to face the assembled leaders. Get me everything we have on their ship's energy signatures. And someone wake up Dr. Miller. His quantum detection systems just became our top priority. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Deep space telescopes revealed more of the Imperial fleet waiting at the edges of the solar system. Analysis of their engine signatures showed energy outputs that confirmed humanity's worst fears. These weren't just advanced aliens. This was a civilization capable of reshaping planets. But something caught Stone's attention. Show me their shield configurations again, he ordered, studying the data scrolling across his personal display. A pattern emerged, one that made him smile for the first time since the ships appeared. Sir, Lieutenant Adams noticed his expression. Something interesting. They're using a standardized defense grid, efficient, proven, and completely predictable. They've never needed to adapt because no one has ever truly challenged them. Stone straightened his uniform. Get me a secure line to all military commands, and make sure the quantum comm network is ready. As the orders went out, Stone looked at the massive view screen showing the Imperial fleet hanging in Earth's orbit like artificial stars. They expected negotiations. They expected fear or awe or immediate submission. What they didn't expect was silence. Because while the Empire had spent millennia perfecting the art of intimidation, humanity had spent its entire history preparing for this moment. Not with negotiations, not with submission, but with the grim determination of a species that had clawed its way to the stars through sheer force of will. The Empire was about to learn a very important lesson. Humans don't negotiate when their survival is at stake. they fight. The United Nations emergency session buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from every nation gathered in the underground bunker beneath Geneva. The usual political divisions had vanished in the face of the imperial threat hovering above their planet. Admiral Stone stood at the podium, his presence commanding attention even before he spoke. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "The Empire's offer is, on its surface, simple: 40% of our resources in exchange for protection and technology." He paused, letting the words sink in. "But there's something you need to see." The main screen behind him lit up with images captured by deep space probes. The pictures showed dozens of worlds, each one stripped of resources, their surfaces scarred by massive mining operations. "These planets all accepted the Empire's generous offer," Stone continued. "Our intelligence suggests a pattern. First, it's 40%. Then, due to unforeseen circumstances, they require 50%. Then 60%. Within a decade, these worlds were giving up 90% of their resources just to survive." Gasps echoed through the chamber. The representative from India stood up. "But surely we can negotiate better terms. They must be reasonable." Stone pressed a button, and new images appeared. These showed the remains of a civilization, cities in ruins, oceans drained, and skies darkened by industrial waste. This was the last planet that tried to renegotiate. They called themselves the Guardians. 3 billion dead in a single day. The room fell silent. "We have a choice," Stone said, his voice cutting through the quiet. "We can accept their terms and watch our world slowly die, or we can do something no other civilization has dared." He straightened to his full height. "We can fight." The Brazilian representative leaned forward. "Against their technology. Their ships are bigger than our cities." "Size isn't everything." Dr. Miller spoke up from his seat near the podium. The chief scientist of Project Defender looked oddly calm for someone discussing potential alien invasion. "We've been preparing for this moment for decades. The quantum weapons are ready. The automated defense platforms are in position. We have advantages they don't expect." Stone nodded. "The Empire has grown soft. They rely on fear and intimidation because no one has challenged them in thousands of years. But humanity," he smiled grimly, "we've spent our entire history fighting against impossible odds." The UN Secretary-General stood up. "What exactly are you proposing, Admiral?" "Complete radio silence," Stone replied. "No response to their demands. No negotiations. No communication at all. Meanwhile, we activate everything we've built. Every weapon, every defense system, every contingency plan we've developed since we first looked at the stars and wondered if we were alone." The chamber erupted in discussion. The Chinese representative raised his hand. "And if they attack? Then we show them why picking a fight with humanity was their biggest mistake," Dr. Miller answered, pulling up schematics of weapons systems that made even Stone's eyes widen. "We've hidden our true capabilities well. They think we're primitive. Let them keep thinking that, right until the moment we strike." The vote was quick and unanimous, a rarity in UN history. Earth would not bow. Earth would not negotiate. Earth would prepare for war. As the session ended, Lieutenant Adams approached Stone with a datapad. "Sir, the Empire is trying to contact us again. They're getting nervous about our silence." Stone looked at the massive view screen showing the Imperial fleet. Their ships hung in perfect formation, a display of power meant to intimidate. But there was something almost comical about their predictability, their assumption that every species would react the same way to their presence. "Let them worry," Stone said quietly. "They've spent 10,000 years teaching other worlds to fear them. We're about to teach them something new." He turned to Dr. Miller. "Start powering up the quantum grid, but keep it hidden under the background radiation. Let's see how they handle a species that doesn't play by their rules." Above them, the Empire waited for a response that would never come. The time for words was over. The time for action was about to begin. Commander Marcus paced the bridge of the Imperial flagship, his metallic features reflecting the soft blue light of the holographic displays. For the first time in his 300 years of service, he faced a situation that didn't match any protocol in the Imperial handbook. 36 hours of complete silence, he muttered, stopping to stare at the blue-green planet below. No responses to our transmissions, no attempts at negotiation, no signs of panic. He turned to his chief analyst. This isn't normal. Perhaps their communication systems are primitive, suggested First Officer Taylor, her chrome-plated fingers dancing over the control panel. We could send a smaller ship closer to boost the signal. Marcus shook his head. No, they receive our transmissions perfectly. Our probes detected their global information network. They're choosing not to respond. The concept seemed almost offensive to him. In 10,000 years of Imperial expansion, no species had ever simply ignored them. Sir, a junior officer called out. Energy spike detected from the planet's surface. The main screen filled with data streams. Massive power signatures were appearing all over Earth, in their oceans, their mountains, even in orbit. The readings made no sense. How could a pre-spacefaring civilization hide such technology? Impossible, Taylor whispered, checking the readings again. These energy levels, they're approaching Imperial standard, but their visible technology is centuries behind ours. Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Doubt. He opened a channel to High Ambassador Reed's quarters. Ambassador, we may have a situation. Reed's face appeared on the screen, its usual confident expression slightly strained. The High Council is demanding answers. Commander, why haven't the humans accepted our offer? Sir, we're detecting anomalies. Marcus sent the data to Reed's terminal. They've hidden their true technological capabilities. These readings suggest weapons we've never encountered before. Impossible. Reed dismissed, but his voice lacked conviction. They're barely into their space age. Their ships can barely reach their own moon. As if in response to his words, new alerts flashed across the bridge screens. Hidden satellites were powering up throughout the solar system, their energy signatures masked until now by what appeared to be artificial background radiation. Sir, Taylor reported, her voice tense, we're detecting quantum fluctuations. They're using technology that shouldn't be possible at their development stage. Marcus studied the tactical display, his military training fighting against centuries of Imperial doctrine. The humans weren't acting like any species they'd encountered. There was no fear, no desperate attempts at negotiation, no frantic diplomatic messages. Ambassador, Marcus said slowly, I recommend we withdraw to a safer distance. Something isn't right. Withdraw? Reed's voice rose in pitch. From primitives. The Empire does not withdraw. The Empire does not show weakness. The High Council would never. His words were cut off as new alarms blared across the bridge. The energy readings from Earth were climbing exponentially. What looked like simple defense platforms were transforming, unfolding like deadly mechanical flowers. Multiple weapon systems detected, Taylor shouted. They're not just defensive installations. They're some kind of hybrid quantum-based weapon platforms. Our shields weren't designed to handle this type of energy. Marcus watched as the tactical display filled with red warning indicators. The humans hadn't just been preparing defenses. They'd been preparing for war. And they'd hidden their preparations so well that the Empire's standard scans had missed them completely. Ambassador, Marcus said, his voice grave, I don't think these are primitives. I think we've made a terrible mistake. On the main screen, Earth hung silent and seemingly peaceful. But now, they could see the truth. Beneath that calm exterior lay a species that had spent its entire existence preparing for this moment. Not with diplomacy, not with submission, but with weapons that could challenge even the Empire's might. The humans weren't going to negotiate. They were going to fight. And for the first time in Imperial history, Commander Marcus wasn't certain of victory. Captain Emily Wells sat in the command chair of the stealth ship Thunderchild, hidden in the shadow of an asteroid at the edge of the Mars orbit. Her vessel, along with 30 others like it, had remained invisible to Imperial scans thanks to Dr. Miller's quantum cloaking technology. "All ships report ready, Captain," her tactical officer reported quietly, as if speaking too loud might give away their position. "Quantum weapons are charged and targeting solutions are locked." Wells took a deep breath. The weight of humanity's first strike rested on her shoulders. They would only get one chance at surprise. "Send the coded signal to Earth Command. Operation Thunderbolt is go." Deep in the Earth Defense Command bunker, Admiral Stone received the message. He looked at the assembled military leaders and nodded once. "Launch the attack." In space, Wells keyed her ship-wide comm. "All crews, execute attack pattern Delta. Remember your training. Today we show the Empire that humanity isn't just another species to be conquered." The stealth fleet emerged from hiding like ghosts becoming solid. Their ships, small compared to the Imperial vessels, but bristling with weapons that defied conventional physics, moved in perfect formation. The Empire's mighty warships didn't detect them until they were less than 1,000 kilometers away, far too close to respond effectively. "Fire main quantum disruptors," Wells ordered, her voice steady. "Target their command and control systems." The space between the fleets lit up with weapons that the Empire had never seen before. Beams of twisted space-time struck the first Imperial capital ship, bypassing its shields completely. The massive vessel's hull rippled like water, then collapsed in on itself as its atomic structure was torn apart. "Impossible." Commander Marcus shouted on the Imperial flagship's bridge. "Their weapons, they're affecting space itself." Before the Empire could respond, 2 more of their capital ships vanished in flashes of quantum energy. The humans' attack pattern was unlike anything in Imperial records. Their smaller ships moved like a swarm of angry insects, each one targeting specific weak points with surgical precision. "Return fire," Marcus commanded, but the Imperial gunners were struggling to lock onto the human vessels. Their stealth technology seemed to bend light itself around them, making targeting solutions unreliable. Back on the Thunderchild, Wells watched her tactical display with grim satisfaction. "Second wave, begin your attack runs. Focus on their support ships. Don't let them coordinate a response." The human fleet split into smaller groups, each one attacking from a different vector. Imperial shields, designed to stop conventional energy weapons, proved useless against quantum-based attacks that simply ignored the laws of physics as the Empire understood them. "Sir," Taylor's panicked voice cut through the chaos on the Imperial flagship. "We've lost 6 capital ships and 15 support vessels. Our formation is breaking apart." Marcus stared in disbelief at his tactical display. The humans weren't just fighting. They were systematically dismantling the Imperial fleet's ability to fight back. Each strike targeted vital systems. Each attack run was perfectly coordinated. This wasn't the work of primitives. This was the work of a species that had spent generations preparing for war. On the Thunderchild, Wells received new sensor data. "They're trying to regroup," exactly as Admiral Stone predicted. She opened a channel to her fleet. "All ships, execute pattern Omega. Don't let them reform their battle line." The human fleet's attacks intensified, their quantum weapons tearing holes in reality itself to reach their targets. Imperial ships, the pride of a galaxy-spanning civilization, were being destroyed by a species they had dismissed as barely space-capable. In the Earth Defense Command, Stone watched the battle unfold. "Send word to Captain Wells. Mission accomplished. Have her forces withdraw to secondary positions." As quickly as they had appeared, the human ships vanished, leaving behind the wreckage of what had been the Empire's proudest battle group. The message was clear. Humanity wouldn't negotiate, wouldn't surrender, and wouldn't show mercy to those who threatened Earth. The first strike was over. and the galaxy would never be the same. High Ambassador Reed stood before the holographic projection of the Imperial High Council, his metallic skin dulled with stress. The loss of 9 capital ships to a supposedly primitive species was unprecedented in Imperial history. These humans must be taught their place. The council leader's voice boomed through the chamber. Show them the consequences of defying the Empire. Destroy their moon bases. That should bring them to their knees. Reed nodded, though doubt gnawed at him. Commander Marcus, prepare the demonstration strike. In Earth's Defense Command, alarms blared as Imperial ships moved toward the moon. Admiral Stone watched calmly as officers rushed around him. Dr. Miller stood at his side, tablet in hand. They're doing exactly what we expected, Stone said, his voice carrying no trace of concern. Targeting our visible installations to try to force our surrender. He turned to Dr. Miller. Is Operation Dark Star ready? Miller's eyes gleamed. Every automated defense platform is in position. The Empire thinks they're about to teach us a lesson. Instead, they're walking into our trap. The Imperial fleet positioned itself above the moon, their weapons charging. Commander Marcus gave the order with mechanical precision. Target their lunar installations. Show them the price of resistance. Energy beams lanced out from the Imperial ships, destroying the visible moon bases in spectacular explosions. The Empire sensors showed complete destruction of the targets. Victory seemed assured. Then everything changed. Deep beneath the moon's surface, hidden quantum reactors surged to life. What the Empire had thought were simple mining operations were actually massive military installations, buried and waiting for this exact moment. Energy spike. Taylor shouted on the Imperial bridge. It's coming from inside the moon. Before the Empire could react, the moon's surface rippled. Thousands of weapon platforms emerged from hidden bunkers, their quantum cannons already charged. They had destroyed the decoy bases, exactly as planned. This was a trap, Marcus realized. Too late. All ships, raise shields. But humanity's real defenses were already firing. The automated platforms, each one controlled by advanced AI systems, launched a coordinated attack that made the earlier battle seem like a mere skirmish. In the Defense Command, Stone watched the Imperial fleet's formation crumble. Send the signal to Dr. Miller's other installations. Let's show them everything. Throughout the solar system, what had appeared to be ordinary asteroids and space debris transformed. Humanity had spent decades preparing this defense network, hiding it in plain sight. Each piece was a weapon, waiting for this moment. Impossible, Reed screamed as his tactical display filled with new threats. They've weaponized the entire system. The automated defenses attacked in perfect coordination. Quantum beams crossed space from multiple directions, catching Imperial ships in a deadly crossfire. Their shields, designed to stop conventional weapons, might as well have been paper against humanity's advanced technology. We've lost another 15 ships, Taylor reported, her voice shaking. Our remaining vessels are being surrounded. Marcus watched in horror as his fleet was systematically torn apart by weapons they couldn't defend against, fired from positions they hadn't known existed, controlled by systems they couldn't hack or disable. In Geneva, the UN Secretary-General turned to Stone. Will this be enough to drive them away? Stone's expression was grim. This isn't about driving them away. This is about sending a message. Humanity won't be conquered. We won't be subjugated. And anyone who tries will face total annihilation. The automated defense platforms continued their relentless attack, destroying Imperial ships with mechanical efficiency. What the Empire had intended as a show of force had become a demonstration of their own vulnerability. As his ship shuddered under another hit, Commander Marcus finally understood. They hadn't found a primitive species to conquer. They'd found humanity, a species that had looked to the stars and prepared for war. And now, they would pay the price for their arrogance. Admiral Stone stood in Earth's orbital command station, watching as humanity's combined military forces emerged from their hidden bases across the solar system. Ships of all sizes appeared from underground bases on Mars, secret facilities in Venus's atmosphere, and countless asteroid hideouts. All battle groups report ready, Lieutenant Adams announced from her station. The Empire's fleet is still in disarray from the automated defense platform attack. Stone nodded, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. Begin Operation Avalanche. Show them what happens when humanity fights back. Earth's true military power was finally revealed. Thousands of warships, hidden for decades, moved into attack formation. Each one carried weapons that the Empire had never seen before, technologies developed in secret while humanity pretended to be primitive. On the Imperial flagship's bridge, Commander Marcus watched in horror as his sensors detected the approaching human armada. How did they hide all of this? Sir, Taylor's voice was filled with panic. Their ships are using attack patterns we've never seen before. They're moving in ways that defy our tactical predictions. The human fleet split into hundreds of smaller groups, each one attacking from a different angle. Unlike the Empire's rigid formations, Earth's ships moved like a living thing, adapting and changing tactics faster than the Imperial computers could analyze. This is how humanity fights. Stone transmitted on all frequencies, letting the Empire hear him. We don't follow your rules. We don't use your tactics. We fight to win. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Human ships, smaller but far more numerous than their Imperial counterparts, swarmed their larger enemies. They attacked in ways that made no sense to Imperial tactical doctrine, sacrificing advantageous positions to create even better ones, feigning weakness to lay traps, using maneuvers that seemed suicidal until they resulted in destroyed Imperial vessels. Fourth Fleet is gone, an Imperial officer reported. Fifth Fleet is surrounded. We can't predict where they'll attack next. Dr. Miller's voice came through on Stone's private channel. The quantum disruption field is ready, Admiral. We can end this now. Stone looked at the tactical display one last time. The Empire's mighty fleet, which had terrorized thousands of worlds, was now trapped between Earth's forces and the automated defense network. They had nowhere to run. Activate the field, Stone ordered. Across the solar system, hidden quantum generators powered up. The space around the Imperial fleet began to twist, making their faster-than-light drives useless. They were trapped in normal space, forced to fight on humanity's terms. This is impossible, Commander Marcus shouted as his ship's systems began to fail. No one has ever defeated an Imperial fleet. Sir, Taylor reported, her voice barely a whisper. We've lost contact with 70% of our remaining ships. The humans, they're not just fighting us. They're hunting us. Stone's voice came through their speakers again. You came to our world expecting surrender. You thought we would bow down like all the others. Instead, you found humanity, a species that has spent its entire history preparing for war. The human fleet closed in from all sides, their quantum weapons tearing apart what remained of the Imperial forces. Ships that had conquered countless worlds were reduced to debris by weapons they had never imagined possible. In the orbital command station, Lieutenant Adams looked at her scanner. Enemy fleet is at 15% strength and falling, sir. They're trying to retreat, but the quantum field is holding them in place. Stone watched as humanity's weapons finished their work. The Empire had brought their best fleet, their proudest ships, their most experienced commanders, and humanity had destroyed them all. Send word to all forces, Stone ordered. The Empire made their choice. They chose to threaten Earth. Now they'll learn why that was their last mistake. The battle continued, but it wasn't really a battle anymore. It was a lesson, one that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity didn't negotiate with those who threatened their world. They annihilated them. The Imperial High Council chamber was silent as they watched the final transmission from their once mighty fleet. 10,000 years of unchallenged dominance had ended in a single day. The humans hadn't just defeated them, they had destroyed them completely. How many ships survived? The council leader asked, his metallic face showing actual emotion for the first time in centuries. 7, a junior officer reported. Out of 300. And those only survived because the humans allowed them to escape. The silence that followed was deafening. Then a new transmission appeared on their screens. Admiral Stone's face filled the massive display, his expression calm but firm. To the Imperial High Council, he began. You believed you found another primitive species to conquer. Instead, you found humanity. Let me explain what that means. The council watched, unable to look away, as Stone continued. For thousands of years, you've ruled through fear. You've crushed civilizations, stripped planets bare, and called it progress. But humanity is different. We don't submit, we don't surrender, and we certainly don't negotiate when our survival is at stake. Images appeared beside Stone's face. The destroyed Imperial fleet, the advanced human weapons, the defense networks that had remained hidden until needed. What you saw today was just a fraction of our capability, Stone continued. We have weapons you haven't discovered, technologies you can't understand. And most importantly, we have something you lost long ago, the will to fight for our freedom. In Earth's Defense Command, Dr. Miller stood beside Lieutenant Adams as they watched Stone deliver humanity's message. Send the data packet, he ordered quietly. The council's screens filled with technical data, specifications of the weapons that had destroyed their fleet, capabilities they had never thought possible from a primitive species. This is your only warning. Stone's voice carried the weight of humanity's determination. Earth is not for conquest. Humanity is not for subjugation. Any further aggression against our world or our species will be met with total annihilation. The council leader stood, his ancient frame shaking with rage and fear. You dare threaten the Empire? No, Stone replied calmly. We're telling you how things are going to be from now on. The galaxy is changing. The era of Imperial dominance is over. On worlds across the galaxy, other species watched in amazement as news of the Empire's defeat spread. Some celebrated quietly, while others began to reconsider their own positions in the cosmic order. Back on Earth, Stone stood in his office, looking out at the stars through a reinforced window. Lieutenant Adams entered with a report. Sir, we're receiving transmissions from other worlds, she said, excitement in her voice. They want to know how we did it. Some are asking for protection from the Empire. Stone smiled slightly. Tell them we'll consider alliances, but only with those who respect our independence. Humanity didn't fight for freedom just to become another empire. Dr. Miller joined them, holding his tablet. The Quantum Defense Network is fully operational now. No fleet in the galaxy could reach Earth without our permission. Good, Stone nodded, because this is just the beginning. The galaxy needs to understand something fundamental about humanity. He turned to face them both, his expression serious but hopeful. We don't want to rule. We don't want to conquer. We just want to be left alone to progress at our own pace. But if anyone threatens our world, our people, or our future, he looked back at the stars. Well, they've seen what happens then. In the days that followed, humanity began its true journey into the stars. Not as conquerors like the Empire, not as victims like so many other species, but as something new. A civilization that had proven it could defend itself against any threat. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of Imperial dominance was over. The age of humanity had begun.